Today, we want to have a look on how to create awesome sounding synths for your modern metal production. I know that metal is mainly about guitars and drums, but especially in modern metal, synthesizers have become so important. They have become an integral part of the music and the productions. Sometimes very prominent, sometimes more like a ghost instrument. But believe me, none of the big modern metal production works without the use of synths. And there's a lot that synths can do. They can fatten your guitar tone. They can add atmosphere to your production or simply give your music a more modern feel. We have teamed up with no other than Dr. Mike Trubetskov from Australia, who is a real modern metal synth expert. What you are about to watch is just a little snippet of an in-depth course that we have just released together with Mike, where he shows you how to create aggressive synth sounds for metal, pads, effects, and all different kinds of cool sounds to give your production more spice. And the best part is that all the sounds that he uses in this course are created with a freeware VSTi instrument that you can download. And this includes the multitracks and the presets and everything, so you can be really close to Mike throughout the entire course and follow every step, download his sounds, create your own sounds, and have a lot of modern metal fun. Let the synth doctor take over. Enjoy!
Let's focus on the first category, which is synth riffs that follow the guitar. These are highlighted in yellow. Take a listen and then we can discuss how these are built and how you can use similar approaches in your productions. And the next one is this here. So, let's first focus on the fundamentals and the essentials. You want to mirror your guitar riff with a synth, like this here. What can you do? First thing you need is your guitar MIDI. And I have it in different forms, which I will obviously supply to you as well, exporting from this cover. But basically you grab that same riff, maybe from Guitar Pro, if you have access to it, or you will need to transcribe it and program it, unfortunately. There is no easy way about it. Once you have it though, you can feed it into your Vital. You have to know the following. The synth that mirrors the guitars has to have that fat kind of tone based on saw wave or square wave. It has to sound really percussive, so the attack has to be set basically at 0, instant kind of attack. That synth also has to have quite a bit of a top end so that it goes into the distortion the right way. You are basically looking for something sort of subtle which you can bring into the background, but this gives a digitized kind of vibe. Let's open up a completely fresh preset and start from scratch. This is your initial preset. Does not sound exciting that much. What is happening right now is we have just the initial wavetable associated to that preset. Let's consider how different wavetables for the oscillator change your tone. Let's just browse through this. You can see that this is your initial source for the tone. Each wavetable responds differently and creates a different vibe for your sound. You can stack up to 3 different wavetables. Consider that as layering in your mixing process. You can use layers to diversify the sound and get the best of each world in your tone. With that vision in mind, that we want a fast and percussive synth with lots of distortion and lots of tone that can complement our guitars and not compete with it, we can go ahead and find some wavetables that will help us achieve it. I've landed on this one as it sounds distorted in a cool way and has a lot to offer, and we can sculpt it accordingly. So this can be our main wavetable. Before we get to complementing it with the other wavetables, let's sculpt the ADSR so that it responds to the sound the way we want this to. We want for the percussive tone to have the fastest attack possible. Let me show you the effect of the attack on this tone. Let's work with the decay and sustain now. What happens now is we have decreased the sustain to the minimum, and now we have no decay. So here is a good illustration of how decay impacts the tone, and the decay parameter is responsible for how quickly this sound dies down after it has been performed. You can see that it becomes too percussive and too short, or too long, so we have to find a happy medium here. So here is good. Now let's tweak the sustain again. For the sustain, you can see that it actually modulates the tail, but not the duration of it, rather than its level. So here, with sustain to the max, the tail is not changing in volume after the note has been played. And with the decay, we can modulate how long this goes for. The combination of the right decay and sustain will be essential for dialing in the right tone. And in this case, these two parameters in conjunction sort of work as a gain slider of your amp. So having sustain quite up high in this instance helps because it adds some richness and fatness to the synth. Having too little of it makes it too percussive, and this, in the case of applying this in the mix, would draw too much attention on the synth without having too much body. We want a happy medium between these two. Let's look into the release now. This is a great illustration of what release does. It basically acts as a sustain pedal for your piano, should you have experimented with that. We don't want any of that release implemented for our fast-paced moving synths. But oppositely, we do want a lot of release applied to our pads and long sustained chords. So these are the basics of how ADSR controls your sound and what you want to dial in order to get a clean and powerful tone supporting your guitars. Now, with this dialed in, let's look into adding more oscillators. This sounds great, not the best as is. It's a square wave basically. It's a bit muddy right now, but I'm sure that if we tweak it some more by using these parameters here, which we'll get to, we can get a better sounding result. Let's now see what we can use to sculpt these sounds some more. You can see that here there is a slider. It's called frame. This frame parameter selects a different part of this wavetable. So you can select different parts of it and this sound different. Sounds pretty cool here. Once you move this slider, and if you like the result of this sound that occurs to you while moving it, you can think about automating this movement with the LFO. So the same for the second one. Great. Keep it here for now. So now all together. But right now, what I'm hearing is I have a bit of a clash because all of these sounds stem from the same octave. Especially this one. Once this is done, you have more options to play with. These are just the basics. Here, you can see that there are two sliders. One is phase, another one is spectral morph. Let me walk you through these as well. We have vocode. This slider is called spectral morph, and you can hear how powerful it is based on the modulation applied. I like this low pass quite a lot. It gets a bit clicky though, so maybe we can use something else. This 4-month scale sounds really cool. It is time to apply some modulation to this. You can go ahead and select an LFO that you want to use. You can select different LFOs for different parameters. Right now, I'm just going to use this LFO1 and modify these parameters here. You just hold your left mouse button and drop it to the parameters that you want to modulate. With this little circle here, you can modify how much you want to modulate this. So you may want to go ahead and modulate very, very little of this parameter or quite a lot. So now let's just drop it as it is and see what happens. This is pretty cool already and sounds quite decent, but because we only have one LFO modulating those parameters, it sounds a bit boring, and I think we could get something cooler going on. Let's try getting this second LFO and modulating some of the parameters on top of it, maybe faster, so that we create a more mad kind of vibe with the synth. Tweaking this slider gives me a very digitized vibe, which will be absolutely not present in your guitars because you cannot achieve that with a real instrument. But here you can. So let's move this parameter in a faster fashion to 16th notes. And now we're getting to that weird, almost voicey-like layer, which sounds very cool, very distinctive. I feel like this can be dropped one octave below though to add more nice low end to the top. sounds a bit weird, but really cool. When you have those oscillators, those wavetables assigned and dialed in, it is time to filter them, because right now what I'm hearing is they don't sound cohesive and they sound a bit out of place. Let's see if we drop a filter onto this. And here it is important that we chain all of these oscillators into filter 1. And let's see how that sounds now. That sounds good. This obviously filters too much of our signal, but we have a mix knob here. And now, obviously, we want more movement, so we can modulate this cutoff of a filter as well. Let me demonstrate you what happens if we use the same LFO for it. Sounds pretty cool to me. If we go into the effects, we can blend this even more. And let's just see what those effects can help us with. This just subtly helps to make the sound a bit bigger, and the important effect here would be distortion. Without those effects, sound too bad. With though, sounds more polished. It blends better. Let's see the mix now, and let's refer to the previous synth that we've had. Great, and this one. Great, and use that one instead. This one sounds crazier, in a good way. Distort that tone some more with Saturn. This is essentially the process that you follow when creating such presets for synths that follow the guitars. The principles are fast attack, not much of a sustain and release, percussive synths, digitally distorted with some movement, filtered and affected.
I gotta interrupt you here. I hope you enjoyed this. Like I've mentioned earlier, this is just a small part of a bigger course. So if you want to learn how to create awesome sounding synths and add them to your production, check out the link below to the full course. It includes the multitracks, it includes his preset. Once again, everything is created with a freeware VST instrument. So you can really follow every step of this course. And that, I think, makes it really special. Or you can just download his preset and fiddle around with it. And to make it even better, you can upload your version of the song that you've just heard, because it also includes the stems of that song. You can download the stems, create your own version and upload it inside my Academy Kohle Audio Cult and get a review from Mike himself or me. Let's see. Anyway, awesome course, link below. Introduction price right now. Learn to create awesome sounding synths with Dr. Mike. I'm sure that's going to be a lot of fun for you. And I think there's not much like this out there, right? There's like many courses about mixing, about guitar tones and stuff like that. But synths, not a lot of talking about that. So link below, check it out. As usual, you can either get the course or you can get the full membership, which includes all our courses and much more, right? I think that's all for today. Thanks a lot to Mike for doing this. I hope you enjoyed this. Leave a comment, and I see you in hell, motherfuckers. Bye-bye.